So a few weeks later, it turns out the smoke is still definitely clearing after a post-election forum involving top aides in the Trump and Clinton campaigns. Clinton pollster Joel Benenson and Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway clashing at an event yesterday at Harvard University, practically shouting at each other over whether Donald Trump's victory really constitutes a mandate.
Listen, you guys won. That's clear. You won the Electoral College. That's the currency.
That was the fight, right?
Let's also be honest. Don't act as if you have some popular mandate for your message. And, Tony, we'll talk about the wrong track number again like you and I just did. The fact of the matter is that more Americans voted for Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump. So let's put it in total context.
And there was nothing that said the road to popular vote anywhere. It was
Kellyanne, I'm not. I premised my statement by saying that, but you can't then.
Hey, guys, we won. You don't have to respond.
Okay,
I mean, seriously,
no.
Hold on. Why is there no mandate? You've lost 60 congressional seats since President Obama got there. You lost more than a dozen senators, a dozen governors, 1,000 state legislative seats.
We're talking about this election,
No, you
Kellyanne.
said there's no mandate.
Reflects in some ways a conversation that is still going on across the country. Juan Williams is Fox News political analyst and author of the book We the People. Mercedes Schlapp is former spokeswoman for President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. Welcome. You guys aren't going to go at it like that, or maybe you are. We'll see what happens. Juan, is Joel Benenson right?
Well, about the mandate, I mean, that's up to how you view it. I mean, his premise was that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. It wasn't close. It's now building. It's more than 2.5 million, so that's pretty substantial. But in terms of the mandate, if you look at the electoral map, boy, it's not close. Donald Trump just dominated, and I guess he's now close to 300 electoral college votes, which is a pretty strong mandate in my mind.
Yeah, 306, I believe, is the last count. Mercedes, when you look at this and you look at the bitterness between these two camps, what's your take?
Well, I'm thinking they probably should have had tequila shots and maybe had the conversation.
That makes some people mean, though, you know? It affects people different ways.
No, I do say, you know, obviously there is still so much emotion, and I think for the Democrats, it's trying to, instead of being introspective and figuring out, well, what went wrong. Obviously, the messenger, the fact that Hillary Clinton was unable to connect with the working class, especially the white working class in these Rust Belt and Midwestern states. The message itself, the fact that they weren't able to sell their economic message. This is where Donald Trump was incredibly effective in talking about the American worker being that forgotten voice, in going into Scranton, Pennsylvania, and into these old industrial towns and talking about how he will rebuild and bring jobs back to America. That was a huge selling point, and I think that Hillary Clinton, unfortunately, was unable to sell her economic message effectively. She ended up focusing on name-calling, on calling Trump supporters racist, deplorables. That was personal, and I think that at the end, that's why Donald Trump was
Mercedes, that's not a mandate. That's the question on the table is, does he have a mandate? And I think you're arguing about the messaging, and I think that was acknowledged yesterday, although in a critical point, Jennifer Palmieri said, you know what, she's proud not to have run a campaign that was based on giving a platform to Steve Bannon and his alt-right white nationalist views.
That was a low blow. Let me jump in here, guys. Let me jump in. Yeah, and Kellyanne Conway responded in kind, feeling that that was a very unfair assessment, in her opinion. But I also think that an acknowledgement on the part of the Clinton campaign that some of what came out in these emails painted them, perhaps, and painted the Democratic Party as an elitist group that doesn't necessarily connect with a lot of people in this country. And I realize, you know, Electoral College, it was not really a close election at all. Right. The popular vote went the other way, as you point out. But put up this quote from Jennifer Palmieri, because she was one of the people who had very raw emotions yesterday, but perhaps they are such in part because of this comment that she made that came out during the election. She said, I imagine that they think it is the most socially acceptable, politically conservative religion. She's talking about Catholicism and the conversion of Rupert Murdoch and others. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals. You know, you look at the Catholic vote, you look at the evangelical vote, which ended up going very strongly for Donald Trump. So in part, they need to maybe look in the mirror a little bit here, Mercedes.
Absolutely, and I can tell you, just speaking to many Catholics in my community who were not wanting to vote for Donald Trump. Once that email came out, it was a turning point for many of my Catholic friends who were basically saying absolutely not. They were concerned about the Democrats inserting themselves, trying to change the tenets of the Catholic faith. Obviously, for evangelical Christians, when you're talking about 81% voting for Donald Trump, that is a huge shift. There was this concern that the Democrats have gone too far in trying to insert themselves. Very quickly,
this is John Podesta. This is Jennifer Palmieri, two Catholics. And, you know, just a moment ago, Martha was talking about these emails. You know, first of all, to me, the evangelicals were going for Trump anyway. I find it very difficult given Trump's values and evangelicals. I just told you why. But I want to say this, that the one thing those two campaigns agreed on up at Harvard was that the media didn't think Trump could win, and as a result gave undue attention to this email stuff and played up things like the one you're talking about. I don't think it had any impact, according to the polls, on the outcome of that election.
We're going to carry this over. Thank you very much, you guys.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend.
You too. So much to talk about here, right?